Yeah, I agree, and to point out a couple of other issues uh, with the proceedings, before we go to the environmental impacts, because Fred, I think you gave a very compelling testimony. So before we go to that, though, Dave, you mentioned some issues with. Actually, Jake asked the question about who was questioned on the traffic study, and Ginny also mentioned that in terms of the MIHU provisions that were discussed, and I have a couple of points to and just ask to ask Alan, um, that this is the due process issue. So if you the traffic study was uh, reviewed by the county, and the developer mentioned that MIHU provisions were also reviewed by the county. And can you explain, can you describe what happened related to those issues in terms of the community's challenges in trying to get answers on the reviewers of these proposals from the county side, Alan?
You're on mute, Alan.
Dave knows about this too, but the traffic study that was really done was did not apply to this particular development, did not really factor in all of the elements with regard to traffic congestion. So the traffic congestion was really a joke in this one and also the other ones too. So that the traffic is the traffic study is something that is not done to really support what is needed for the traffic growth in the future. What you're looking at is really where is the growth going to happen? And one of the things that is missing is taking into consideration comprehensive zoning, which is going on at the same time. There should not be this kind of development at this time without considering all kinds of the development in Howard County going forward into the future. And that should be taken into consideration in comprehensive zoning and not this kind of one-off. It's like spot zoning, which is also illegal.
So my follow-up, I guess my question was, how did, which, those are good points, Alan. My question was, how did the county, and specifically the county executive, preventing the community from questioning the county entities who reviewed the proposal impact the community's ability to get answers?
In this particular position, the technical staff report by the Department of Planning and Zoning contained numerous questions that the zoning board wanted more answers to, and the county executive precluded those other department heads who look at that planning. One of them is Water and Sewer, Department of Public Utilities. Another is Department of Housing. Another Department of Recs and Parks. Were not permitted to testify to the zoning board to have more information so that the zoning board could make a comprehensive decision about whether or not this development should be permitted. So there are a lot of missing facts in this whole procedure. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's typically never a good sign when they're not being very forthcoming with data or methodology or details of a study. And regarding what Dave said earlier about it, sometimes it's the developers that fund these studies themselves. I mean, that's a huge conflict of interest, just for the same reason that any Democrat would immediately discard any study that showed that burning fossil fuels don't contribute to climate change, and then you find out, oh, look at that study was funded by big fossil fuel. It's very much a similar sort of science for hire, conflict of interest at play there. So thank you, Dave and Alan, for going into that. But